Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we have 1 week until election day. Yeah, we just got done with an election season, but already a very crucial election is coming up, and it's going to be taking place on April 1st, and that is not an April Fool's joke. You have two special elections that will be taking place in Florida to fill those vacant House seats, and Republicans are very likely to win both of those races. They're in deep red districts, but on top of that, there is a very important, more competitive, more contested election that is going to be taking place in the Badger State, the state of Wisconsin. The Supreme Court in 2023, we saw flip from conservative hands into liberal hands. The liberal candidate went out there and vastly outspent the conservative candidate, who was a weak candidate, hammered him on abortion, a lot of other things. And these elections don't have the highest turnout, but it was enough for the liberal candidate to win by like 11 points. It was an embarrassing showing for, Wisconsin Republicans, even though technically it's true that these candidates don't have like an R or a D next to their name. It's pretty obvious that these candidates lean one way or another. Brad Schimmel was the attorney general for the state of Wisconsin. He was a Republican. He served under Scott Walker during that era. And now he is the candidate for the Republicans or the conservatives for the Supreme Court race. And he will be facing none other than a liberal activist judge whose name is Susan Crawford. And this is an election that you would not originally anticipate conservatives to win, given the recent years of special elections. Donald Trump on the ballot, it's one thing. Everybody turns out and votes. But, Wisconsin, we saw what took place in 2023, where Dan Kelly lost by more than 11 points. It was a relatively embarrassing showing all around that we saw, but still, Dan Kelly, he wasn't really the strongest candidate. The energy was through the roof for Janet. She won. But then again, there's a lot of Republican voters who didn't show up, and that's what this election comes down to. It really is. It's nothing else. And there's a lot of spending that's been going on in both sides. We've seen the spending be a little bit more 50-50. Elon Musk has spent over $14 million. Donald Trump didn't endorse Dan Kelly in the 2023 race. He has endorsed in this election the Republican or conservative Brad Schimmel. He's endorsed Schimmel, and as a result, it seems like there's going to be a lot more eyes on this race. It seems like you have a lot of MAGA-aligned people that are very energized for this election in a way they were not exactly energized for Dan Kelly. Now, we have a lot of polls that we've seen, and they've been a little bit all over the place. Brad Schimmel's been winning some polls. He's also been trailing some polls, but he's within the margin of error of many of them. They're all technically right-leaning, but, these polls don't typically have like a ridiculous bias one way or another in terms of how accurate they've been in the past. You see some polls that are, showing a very tight race, but even like Tyson Group, which has had Crawford up the whole cycle, it went from her by 13 to her by 8 to her by 5. So if anybody has the momentum, you could argue it is Brad Schimmel, which is true, but it's about turning out voters. That is how you win. And this election is going to be very crucial, because you talk about redistricting, you talk about election laws that we've seen in the state of Wisconsin. And it's partially why Wisconsin, surprisingly, was the closest state of those Rust Belt 3 swing states in 2024. Donald Trump won it, but you did have Eric Hovde fall short after a lot of counting when he was on track to win, and then he wasn't on track to win. It was a big mess, what we saw in Wisconsin. But either way, those election laws, cleaning up those, that's very crucial to the future of the state of Wisconsin. Is it going to be a right-leaning swing state or a left-leaning swing state? Because it is very competitive. It does seem as if it's going to be a tug-of-war type of battleground state for years to come in the state of Wisconsin. The demographics on the surface level, very white working class, that would be, very favorable for Republicans, but still you have a lot of older voters. It's an older state. Older voters tend to be a little bit more set in their ways, and it's true that like the driftless area counties have been more Republican, and higher turnout has helped Republicans in Wisconsin when it's taken place, which again, that could be an issue for them. come next Tuesday. But regardless, it does seem as if, it's going to be a swing state. And in terms of the redistricting, Derek Van Orden's seat is the seat that's in the driftless area. If you want to look at the House map here, this is crucial because Democrats are going to try to redraw the maps and draw them very favorable to the Democrats, these liberal judges. And you talk about the 1st District, which voted for Brian Steele by 10 points. And you talk about the Derek Van Orden seat, the 3rd District. These are very crucial seats, but they're going to try to split up Madison and Milwaukee and draw a Democrat gerrymander. If the liberals do win this election, that's very likely to happen. They're going to basically take at least 1, if not 2, congressional seats that are going to be crucial ahead of 2026. So this is why these elections matter. We can't just be, a movement that only shows up for presidential years. The Democrats have capitalized on vote early, vote often, and early voting is crucial. I encourage people to vote early in person. We did that in 2024, and it worked wonders for us. Even though we didn't win the early vote overall, we still made it more competitive, and then we found enough voters on election day to win. We're not waiting until election day when the left has banked a bunch of votes and we're not banking votes. You got to bank votes. And I tell people, if you're in Wisconsin, vote early if you can. And if you don't live in Wisconsin, but you know people in Wisconsin, make sure you contact everyone you know, because a lot of people don't even know this is going on. A lot of people don't even know, is Brad Schimmel the conservative candidate or is he the liberal candidate? There's going to be a lot of misinformation, psyops that people are going to use because this is an election where you don't have an R next to a certain candidate's name or a D next to their name. So make sure that people just get out and vote, and they vote for Brad Schimmel because this is crucial for the state of Wisconsin. Will it be a red state in the future, or will it be a left-leaning swing state? Either way, it's going to be competitive, but we need to make sure that we can take back the court in the state of Wisconsin, make sure that we can revive the Republican Party there, and make sure that we can actually win an off-year election in a Rust Belt swing state. That would be a brutal blow to the Democrats because it's true, they're demoralized. We could take advantage of that if Trump, keeps on winning. The economy gets better. You get more deportations. You could get a red wave in 2026. I'm not saying it's going to be the most likely course of action, but the historical trend has usually been the party out of power gains seats. They pick up seats. We could possibly change that. I really do believe that. Just based on the fact that the Democrats already have a very low ceiling for the House. They do have a high floor, but they're going to need to win 70% of the toss-up districts to just retake the House, according to these left-leaning outlets, to the point where, this is crucial. We need people turning out, not just for presidential elections, but for elections in general. And while the Democrat Party brand is tarnished, the Republican Party has an opportunity to move even more in the MAGA direction, but also maintain, a competent edge where they're not leaving candidates out to dry and things like that. It's a crucial election. And in terms of the early vote data, because we do have it, Wisconsin doesn't register by party, but you can see that Republican counties are far more likely to be, casting in-person early votes compared to 2023. These, strong Republican counties, they're more likely to be casting votes. They're casting more of a percentage of the, votes early in person versus 2023. The lean Republican counties are casting way more ballots than the lean Democrat counties. And then the strong Democrat counties like Dane, which is a very high turnout county, very high info. They turn out for every election, doesn't matter when it is, but still they're below the strong Republican counties that we see. So it does seem as if it's early, but the Republican counties do tend to be a little bit more energized in the early voting, which is a very, very good thing ahead of this election. But we need to do better. We need to do more. I'm not saying that I'm expecting much, but this is a race we could win, so we need people out there voting. I'm not going to say, it's a done deal, we're not going to win it, because that's just demoralization, because I think that we actually can. We have a very good shot. We have a great candidate. Abortion is not as big of a winning issue for the Democrats as it was into 2022, 2023, even 2024, just because Trump has won. That was their fear-mongering issue. It backfired. And Donald Trump is not making an effort to go out there and I guess you would say pass a national ban. And even at the state level, you do see the fact that Brad Schimmel is actually going out there and he's kind of, walking the tightrope, doing an effective strategy for Wisconsin when it it comes down to that issue, to the point where he's not alienating a big sect of voters that, could have voted for him otherwise, but are just going to flip to the other side. So you kind of see that working out. He's playing his cards right. His messaging is solid. You actually have money behind him, and you have a lot of effort. So, people, if you're in Wisconsin, try to get involved in the next week. But the very bare minimum thing that you can do is pretty simple, and that would just be get everyone you know to vote. Make sure you vote. Vote early if you can, so you're not going to cause people to have like long lines at election day where they get turned away. And if that can happen, you're going to have a possible upset victory in the state of Wisconsin. So, play like we're 5 points behind, but we can still win. That may even be the case, and we might still win. I think we can, but this is going to be close. It's going to be much closer than 2023, so we need everybody out and voting in the state of Wisconsin, because this will determine the future of Wisconsin. This election is crucial, and it could determine the House majority in a very competitive 2026 midterm. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle, out.